Hello, students. We are here for episode 1 of Hacking Math. So really, we're going to be hacking your brain to train it to do these math problems. So what I want you to do today is get ready to teach your brain some steps that's going to make you a real math hacker, meaning math is going to be much easier for you and quicker for you, and you're going to know what the brains of mathematicians do. And it just takes practice like anything, like your facts or like reading. So we're going to take a look here, make sure we know all the steps to dealing with this, and give you a chance to do a couple problems on your own. So we're going to start here at the very top, math problem hack, how to make it make sense. We're on it. Just like any problem in math or science on testing, there's a little reader. So it's a good reinforcement so you can hear the problem as well as read it so you don't make any mistakes in your reading. The problem. There were 7 students in room 307. There were 5 students in room 309. How many students were in both classes all together? All right, and so I've read the problem and usually just followed along to make sure the words are matching up in my head. A good mathematician has already become a YouTuber in their own head. How do I picture what's happening here? If I was making a movie of this situation, what's happening? Again, easy problem. Most of you probably already solved it in your head, but I want to make sure what we're doing is we're building the steps, not necessarily just the problem. So we're going to go down to this graphic organizer, a way of picturing things in your head, and we're going to go through each step. You can always come back to this video to go understand what order the steps go in and how each step looks, what we mean by each step. We will start with the middle here, the heart of it, part 1. 1. What do I need to find out? Easy question, right? What do we need to find out in this problem? Well, if we look at the problem again, and I will probably use my handy dandy highlighter, which is frequently available to you on most things. I see there were 7 students in room 307, and I could play the thing again and follow along. There were 5 students in room 309. How many students were in both classes altogether? Well, the question is what I need to find out, right? So how many students were in both classes all together? So when I'm answering that question, and I'll go back up here to our text, I need to find out, and again, you can use the text. I'm going to move myself a little here. You can use that text minus, which will make your writing smaller, or your text plus. I'll make it a little bit smaller so it all fits. I need to find out how many students were in both classes, right? I could put the word all together in there if that helps. But again, I'm trying to think in my head, what am I trying to find? I need to find out how many students were in both classes. This is my task. So that's the first hack. Can you do that? Can you figure out what you need to know? Again, use that highlighter, go up, look for the question, come back. Now I'm going to go to the second part of what I need to do. 2. How do I see the problem? Words or pictures? How do I see that problem? Words or pictures? So, that means I can use either. Some of you are my talker writers, like you can write out steps, and that's very easy for you. Some of you are, again, my YouTubers, my TikTokers. You're the ones who see things in pictures, so you can make this movie in your head. Sometimes it really helps to make a movie in your head because it helps you set up what they're actually asking you for. So let's imagine what we would draw here. I'm going to go for the drawing. There were 7 students in room 307. All right, so I can see 7 students in 307, right? So if I can draw that quite easily. Not a fancy drawing, but I can definitely draw that. So let me get my highlighter here. I'm going to go for a nice little blue. 7 students in 307. I don't even have to highlight that whole thing. Then I see there were 5 students in 309. So maybe I'll grab my purple, and I know there's 5 students in 309. So picture. I see, looking to 307, that's Miss Nine's room. I see 7 students. Looking over to the next room, right? Miss Callahan's room, 5 students in 309. I can picture that, right? You can picture that when you walk by every morning. So we'll go down here. So I'm going to go ahead and do a drawing. Now, not an art drawing. This is not something you would do in art class, so I'm sorry to the art teachers. This is a math drawing, so completely different level of art. This is like an outline. So I'm going to I see room 307 here. Ooh, that's kind of what my room looks like. I'll label it because that's part of the problem, right? That That's that room. And I know there's 309, which is right next door. And again, I'm not going to get fancy with all the extra stuff or the doors or anything. I just have it here. Here's my room. And I need to know how many students are in each one, right? So I go check here, 7 and 307. I can draw 7. And again, I'm not even going to draw stick figures on here. It takes too long. I'm going to make each person's going to be a circle. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then 309, 5 students. Go up and check myself to make sure. Ooh, that's a big student there. 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so I've got my 7 students in 307. I have my 5 students in 309. There's not really anything else to picture. I know that that's what I'm looking at. Perfect. All right, let's go on. Let's get my selector tool. Information from the problem. I did. So let's see what they say. 3. What information do I get from the problem? Okay, this is the easy thing, right? What information do I have to go back in here and get out to answer the question? Well, I know that there are 5 students. If I need to find out how many students were in both classes, I know I have 5 students in 309 and 7 students in 307. So I'm going to just go ahead and put that down here. That's my little writing tool. So I know in 307 here, and I can even look up at my little picture here, right? And I see that there are 7 students. And in 309, and some of you have this in your head already, like you could picture it without even looking at your own picture. 5 students. So that's the information I had to get from the problem, right? I know I had to get the number of students in each room. Number 4. What steps will I need to do to solve the problem? What operations will I use? I'm going to go ahead and click on my text button up here. So what steps? So it looks like a 2-part question, but you'd really answer both of these together. So I'm going to type out as steps. First step, what's the first thing I need to do? Well, in order to solve the problem, I'm going to have to add. There's my operation, right? Remember, operations are addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, parentheses, exponents, anything you would do to a number in order to solve the problem. So adding is one of the things we can do to a problem. So we're going to add the number of students, right, in each room. Add number of students in each room. And that looks like 7 students in one room, right, plus 5 students in another room. And this step is really important. Now, because this is a simple problem, there's only one little thing you have to do here, right? Once I've added those together, that gives me my answer. Sometimes there's going to be more steps. Sometimes you'd have to add and then subtract something. Sometimes you might have to multiply and then divide. There could be any number of things that you have to do to solve this problem, to solve a big problem in math. You know that. Sometimes you have to multiply twice, like if you're finding the volume. So just imagine there could be as many as 5 steps, but you have to be very specific. So I know I have to add the number of students in each room. So and I chose 7 and 5. I didn't choose 307 and 309. 307 and 309 are not the number of students. That's the number of the room. I don't have to add those numbers. Those numbers just tell me where the students are. That's not what they're asking in the question. They're not asking room numbers or anything like that. They just want to know the number of students. So the important numbers are the 7, because that's how many students are in one room, and 5, which are in the other one. So again, that's what your brain needs to be doing, is what information do I need to put together and how do I put it together? So we know we're going to add those number of students in each room. 5, solve it. Why does my answer make sense? Okay, and this seems like a simple part, and it is. Notice every step here really is easy by itself. Drawing, finding the question, drawing out what's happening, getting the information out of the problem, figuring out what I have to do to each number that I pulled out, or if I need each number, and then actually doing the math there, right? Be careful, because you do also have to be able to explain why your answer makes sense or not. And that's an important ability in that hack in your brain. So remember, each of these steps is important, and you want to train your brain to go through each of them, and it'll go through faster and faster each time. So let's solve it. Go ahead. We see that our problem is 7 plus 5. So I'm going to click on my text down here, and I'm going to do my 7 plus 5 equals. And lots of different ways to lots of different ways to do 7 plus 5, right? It's hopefully a math fact for most of you because you've been doing your extra math and your reflex math and your in-class drills. And so 7 plus 5 should be 12. If you're doing it as a counting on, you go 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, because there's 5. You could do it as a doubles plus 2. So you could say, well, 5 plus 5 is 10, and then plus 2 more is 7. You could do it as a decomposed number. You could break down, you could say 7. Well, I want 7 plus 3, so I could break down 5 into 3 plus 2. So I could do 7 plus 3 is 10, and then 10 plus 2 more is 12. So anyway, you go at it, you're going to get 12. And then solving it also includes answering the question completely. So let me look at the question. How many students were in both classes? I know that's what I need to find out. Check up here how many students were in both classes altogether. So I'm going to say there were. So I got to turn that question around to use some of those. There were 12 students in both classes. Okay, 12 students in both classes. Now, why does it make sense? And the reason we ask this is because if you're not breaking this down, it's obvious now, right? We know why this makes sense. It would make sense because when you add up 7 plus 5, the number of students, 7 plus 5 is 12. We know that that's how that is. It makes sense that way. But if you're not going through every step and you're acting as a younger person who doesn't have these hacks or isn't learning these hacks, your tendency is, and you know you all have done it, is you take that 7 and then you're like, oh, a 307, and I'm going to add the 309, and I'm going to multiply by the 5, and you come up with you might come up with a big number because you're like, there's numbers, it's math. I don't know what to do. I'm just going to do this fast because I'm running out of time, but this is, if you don't go through this process, that looks much harder, honestly, to everybody. So you might end up with the number 628. You don't want to end up with a 628. That's not going to work, right? Because that means you added like room numbers. We're not looking for room numbers. We're looking for the number of students. So 7 students, 5 students. So this number makes sense. We type in there because there were 7 students in one room and 5 students in the other. Now, I'm lucky that I've practiced for years and years on typing, so you should be practicing too to get faster at that typing. So this makes sense because there are 7 students in one room, right? And 5 students in the other room. Makes it a very easy process. I'd like you to make sure you've answered all the questions in this video. You can come back to it at any time and use it to help you understand each step. Please use it wisely so that your brain develops well. Go on to the next pages, try out the steps yourself, see how you do, see if that hack is working for you now.